we can see again this is the postern gate as well. In fact, it's probably easier if I just draw this on the board. A few different things. So, first of all, the gate structure itself. Gates in cities, right? So here's our large wall coming around. Gates are points of egress. They're points where trade takes place. They differentiate right inside from outside. And as a result, a lot of times they need to be probably the best defended areas that you can get to because precisely they're weak. So in the case of our Sphinx Gate, the Lion Gate, the King's Gate that we're going to be looking at, these structures were rather large. And what we see is a series of what would have been doors, right, covering those parabolic areas, and then two gates, an inner gate and an outer gate, right? So our sphinxes or our lions or our kings, which we'll look at in a second, would have been doubled up, right? So even if you're able to get into the first area, you've got this massive, two massive towers on either side that your attacker or your defenders can then rain all sorts of nasty stuff down on from above, really, really creating a strong point. So gates are almost like little bastions in and of themselves. This is the late Bronze Age, so sieges coming out of the Middle Bronze Age are very, very common. So the Sphinx Gate was protected in a number of different ways, and Hattusas is a great example of how you would go about fortifying a city in the event of a siege. You have a few things to worry about. For one, you're going to be attacked by chariotry, right? So you want to make sure that your chariots don't have even ground to land on. So if you've got a hillside here, the first thing that you'll do is dig a ditch, a perimeter ditch around the entire city. So the ditch is dug down, and then all that dirt is piled up on a hillside. So now you've got a landscape which is much easier to defend. A few other things. Our walls are going to be constructed here. There's our first perimeter wall right with our crenellations. Sorry, forgive my terrible art skills here. Right, of course, a wall with our gate. But at Hattusas there are two new things, or three actually, that are introduced during this time for defense. The first is a series of two different walls. So we've got the first wall, which is known as a curtain wall, and then there's the main wall at the top of this hillock. Again, right, both with solid stone foundations that go a bit deep into the earth. So right, curtain wall, main wall. Second thing that you're going to have is this, which is a glacé, right? The term is a French term. It comes from more medieval defenses and architecture. We actually see it at Hattusas during the late Bronze Age. And what that is this almost sharp shell of stone, which is at such a steep angle you can't attack, right? You can imagine that blue sky, that's where, right, the walls would have been, our curtain wall would have been at the top of that. You can't attack, you can't run up the side of that, and more importantly, you can't dig underneath. So it defends against infantry from the front and also sappers, people who dig underneath. So the glacé is another Hittite innovation. Finally, it's a very clever system of defenses. For one, you can see the staircase that these guys are walking off on. Small staircases that wouldn't have been noticeable to the enemy, in which defenders could rush down and swoop around and attack the enemy from behind. Not just staircases, but also, that's supposed to be a tunnel. There's a tunnel running through this glacé. You can see it here. It's known as the postern gate, right? There's our glacé, and this tunnel running underneath it. A secret exit, if you will, right? So you've got your army, which is now moved past this point, and you can imagine them laying siege to the city, and then all of a sudden, all these Hittite troops come spilling out of this secret exit behind the advancing lines and can attack from the back. So again, just really goes to show some of the technical innovations that are taking place in warfare during this time, during the Late Bronze Age, and we'll continue to see that. We'll pick up with the rest of Hattusas next time, and we'll continue looking at this really interesting period next week. Any questions? My drawing sucks. I'm sorry for that, but you get the idea, I think. Any questions about how that will go? Okay. Have a great weekend. I'll see you guys on Monday.